Hi everyone, Danielle here. I'm doing an overview of Tend. This is going to be a solo overview, so you're not really going to see any interactions with a multiplayer, but I'm just going to dive right in so you can see all the different actions that we can do. I do have this set up mid-game because I don't know, I feel like when you're playing this game for the first few rounds, it kind of feels a little like you're still setting up. And I didn't really want to waste your time in doing that because in terms of the first few rounds, you're kind of getting your footing in what direction you want to take. Um, in my opinion, in this game, you really can't do everything. You have to kind of pick and choose what you're going to focus in on and kind of optimize your turns to do what your plan is. So we are on round four. I currently only have one of these crops on my land area. I upgraded my fishing rod. So now if I were to roll and do some pond fishing, I have some additional options in terms of resources I can gain. And then I do want to point out that we already have season one cards showing up in the task row. Typically, when you do start in the first round, you'll only see the starter cards in the first row. So that's some of the major differences now that you see it is at round four. And also I already mined, or I'm sorry, chopped one of the squares on the wood scratch off sheet. I did not gain anything else in terms of additional fishing spots. Um, but I did make one shape on my cargo manifest so far, which hopefully you can see. I put a mining shape in here. And that was purposeful in there because I get 2 points per mining icon in there. So yeah, let's see. So let's start off the round, and I'm going to take two actions. So on your turn, you take two task cards and do the actions. Some of them have an or statement, some of them have a condition. So we'll talk through those. So the two starter cards I have are for tending. And I think I will continue doing some of that. So if I wanted to, I could go ahead and, hmm, yeah. So I'm going to do attending and write the letter T in the round tracker to mark that that's the action I am doing. And then with that, I'm going to tend. So tending will mean I can do one of three actions. I could plant a crop, tick up a crop and any adjacent crops, or till up to 6 times. I'm going to till 6 times. So I'm going to go and do that squiggly line 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that was my first action of my turn. I get to do one more. So I could consider doing this, which gives me a mining or a fishing. And I think I will do a mining. So this is a cave fisher card, and I'm gonna do M for mining. M. So let's get into the mines. We're gonna grab our coin and then start from any box at the top and just scratch it off. You'll see this path kind of highlighted, and that will make sure that you kind of get to the bottom as fast as you can. But you don't have to go through that route, and you'll actually find potentially other items if you don't. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to start all the way on the right and scratch off the top rightmost box. See what we get. All right. So I'm not familiar with what this is called, but I think this is like some sort of iron or something. So I gain one of those, and now I look at my sheets and see where I can apply that resource. So as soon as you uncover something in your mind or your woods, you gain it immediately, and you have to put it to use somewhere. So looking here, I'll be able to trade in one of those for one zenith or one mining shape on my cargo manifest. Or I could use it and mark a sheet that requires it to work towards a specific goal. So potentially I could work towards the basic minds badge because I see that icon I could cross off here. Um, or let's see what else I can do on this sheet. I could, no, this is like the only area that I could use that. So maybe I will use that because I could also gain this resource as well, which will be able to give me 3 Zenith or 2 cargo manifest. What is that? It's a badge icon. So maybe I'll do that. So I'll just mark off one of them and say that I gained it. So that was my second action. So now we have to do the neighbor phase. So we don't have the neighbor phase to do really right now because I didn't end up doing anything with my neighbor card. So we'll skip that. We will now check if we're at round 6. We're not. So we are not going to score the season 1 end card. And then we'll do the setup phase. So setup phase requires you to just discard all 5 face up cards. We'll draw out 3 from the deck. And then the 2 left would be just drawn from the top and flip over season 2. So now we have the indication season 2 is coming. So now we get to decide on the growth phase. We tick this up actually. So this goes up to here. And now I gain this icon. So a closer look, this is the face of the die. This is a fruit. So I immediately will gain this fruit and then I discard this die from my farm. So I will just move it off my board and then gain the fruit. So looking at the commissary, looking for the fruit, I could trade that in for 3 zenith or put this into my cargo manifest. I'm thinking I'm gonna see where else I could put it. Um, so I could actually put it on here. So right there, I could use a fruit. It's under the plant section. This generalist badge also requires a fruit. So, might be able to do that. But again, you kind of have to focus in on what you're trying to do. There's no way you're going to get 9 badges. If you do, I'll be impressed. But yeah, you're going to have to really focus in on what you're doing. And I'm focusing on the basic minds, I think. So what I am going to do is I think I will use the commissary and trade in that fruit to stamp. And if you look closely, this is actually a marker stamp. You're able to stamp the shape into what you're trying to put in your manifest. So I'll go ahead and put that here. So I get to do um, a 3x1. Okay. And I will put it, you could put it anywhere. I think I'll put it here. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So that's that. And now we move on to the task phase and complete 2 task cards. So as you can see, this game moves very fast and it's only 12 rounds. So I mean, you really have to optimize your turns. You really have to think through what you're trying to do. For me, I wanted to try to get more dice on here. Probably crops, but I can't quite do what I wanted to do. I wanted to get one of the bigger crops out there. I think it's a pumpkin or something. But I'm missing one more till. So I might want to try to tend to do that. So if I do another tend action and do not follow my my strategy, because I'm not really trying to win here. I'm just trying to make sure you understand your options and what you're trying to do. And if you're focusing in on a strategy, you might want to try to stick to it. But anyway, I'll till and do 6, 1, 2. I don't know which way I should go. 3, 4, 5, 6, I guess. Though I don't know if that's gonna be the most helpful. We'll see. And then that was a tend action using this one. And there's no other tend action I can do. So maybe in this case, I'll do fishing. So I will mark down that I'm doing a fishing action, writing the letter F. And to fish, I only have the pond fishing location to fish. So I'm going to roll these two dice. It's a 3 and a 3. So now I have to look at the coordinates, 3 in the column, 3 in the row, see where they meet. So right now, they're not meeting anywhere. There's no icon here. So basically, it ends up being right here. But as I said in the beginning of the video, I did do a fishing upgrade. I focused a lot of my resources here with Zenith in the wood to gain this fishing rod, which allows me to target resources orthogonally adjacent to that location I ended up getting. So I have the only options are to gain these two resources. So I will gain one of those. So I'll immediately gain that, and I could trade it for one Zenith or one of these manifest icons. I'll gain the manifest icon. I'll put it right here. It's like a fish. Yep. That was my second action. It's so quick. All right. So now we go and take a look at the neighbor phase. Again, we didn't do much with the neighbors. I will show you what that looks like in a bit though. So scoring phase. We are at round 6. So now we have to look at the scoring phase. So the scoring for this one said, gain 5 points for each empty area in your cargo manifest of size 2. So just so happens in my last action, I was able to create a gap of 2. So I get 5 points. So I'll simply write 5 points. I think I do write it here. All right. So that was the end of season 1. And then we'll go ahead and do the setup phase. 1, 2. Now that that is empty, we'll just shuffle up that discard pile. And then we'll draw that remaining 1 card. Okay. And that is a novice forager. We'll pull these cards down, flip over the next ones. So we see what's coming. All right. So now we start this new round. Um, and just to note, we did skip the growth phase because we have nothing to grow. So next we will try to do something we didn't do yet. Um, And it looks like all of these I may have shown you already, except the chopping. And I don't see a chopping icon. Hmm. Oh, I do, right here. Silly me. Okay, novice forager. So I'll be able to do a chop. So I'll do chop. Let me get the black marker. Chop, write a C there. And then to chop, we are going to scratch off the next box here. And what do we get? We get another wood. So we will use that wood on, I think we'll use that wood for, so we could trade it in for a zenith, which could be useful, because I do have it here to gain an iron. So go ahead and gain that iron. So where are we going to use that? Um, that's the question. So we could trade it in for a zenith and a mining. I don't know if that's necessary, but we have to use it now. So, hmm. Yeah, I think I'll use it just for actually a zenith. And I'll spend a zenith to build a fence because I haven't done that yet. So building fences are how you get to place an animal out. So we can do that. Yeah, I'll go ahead and continue this fence. I'll go this way for one. And maybe I'll do a 3 by 3 type of animal at some point. That's what I'll do there. So now as my second action, I wanted to try to show you the neighbor action. I might just have to tell you about it now, actually. But basically, if I did that forager action, well, really, it's a chop action. But say I did the novice miner one and I ended up actually having 2+ mining levels, um, and I gained this pineapple. Since one of my neighbor cards has a pineapple on it, instead of using that pineapple at the commissary or using it on my sheet, I could use it to fulfill this neighbor card. And when I do, I would gain the neighbor bonus of 1. And I'll discard this card. So basically, let's say I did that. And then the right neighbor rewards is down here. And you'll fill it out from left to right and gain whatever you cross out. So I would be gaining this resource. And then I'd be able to trade it in for a zenith or a mining, or actually use it probably in the basic mines. So that's what I would do with that neighbor card. As far as everything else, um, I would say it's pretty self-explanatory at this time. I'm not sure there was anything I missed telling you about, but I could tell you more about the trellises. So basically, some crops require a trellis. So that's kind of tracked over here where you could gain a trellis. If you have 2 wood and a zenith, you gain trellis. You could gain a total of 4 on your turn. And then once you have a trellis, you're able to place a special crop. And that crop is the 2 by 2 blue um, blue dye, which is this. So this is the crop you can plant onto that trellis. And that's just, kind of making sure that the crops aren't all too easy to plant, I guess. This is kind of a special crop. So you'd be able to fill that out, gain a trellis, and you have to place the trellis on a 2 by 2 tilled square. And then part of the tend action where it says tick up a crop in adjacent, that's actually watering crops. So if you had a crop already out, just for example's sake, say I had this here, and then I had the smaller crop. Say I had tilled in a trellis here, a smaller crop here on level 1. If I did a water action, I'd be able to tick this up by 1 and tick this up by 1 as well. As long as they're adjacent, that's how the watering crops would work. And then the second to last thing I'll mention are the animals. So when it comes to animals, you do have to use your zenith as well, and then you can plant a certain size of animal. There's going to be small, medium, and large. So once you're able to plant that animal, you need to make sure you have a fence to keep the animals from escaping, ruining your crops, things like that. So if you don't have a fenced-in area, you probably wouldn't want to do uh, anything to do with animals at this point. So say you had an animal out. I'm going to put out, guess this. Essentially, it would be a sheep because this one is actually uh, going to develop yarn. So imagine I did end up fencing this area out and you're doing your growth phase. So when you do your growth phase, you're going to increase the dye just as you would with the crops. And then when you reach this, you gain the resource. But then you don't immediately discard this dye, it actually restarts at 1. So this is something that you'll just continuously receive. Something to note is that once you do place an animal out in a fenced area, you're actually able to move them around as long as it's still fenced in, and you keep the value of the die. Now, the last thing I'll mention are the energy bars. So you have a total of 3 energy bars that you can gain. You do have to cross out the zeniths required underneath to gain that energy bar. But basically, an energy bar can give you an extra action that you can use per task. So maybe you wanted to, head down here into the woods you got to this point, but then you can't go any further until you either have an upgraded tool or you have an additional action you can use using an energy bar, for example. So that's where an energy bar would be useful to you. Well, I think I kind of explained all the basics here of how to play. The scoring is pretty much self-explanatory, so I'm not going to go too much into that. But you would just follow the rule book. So if you wanted to, you can just pause here to get a glimpse of what that scoring looks like. But basically, you're going to be scoring your cargo manifest. So you earn points for every filled box in the cargo manifest. And then each of these stalls, there's stall one, two, and three, are scored differently. You get 0 points for mining in this column. You do get 2 points for mining in this column, 0 points for any of the what is that, farm in this one. And otherwise, you get 1 point per icon in those that were not going to be zero. And then you'll count up how many neighbor boxes you completed on each side and get 3 points for each of them in the solo mode. In the multiplayer, you do have to compare to your neighbors, filled out boxes, and compare the differences. And then badges. So badges here, if you've completed the entire section, you'll gain that many points. So, basic fishing is 5, advanced fishing is 10, generalist is 20 points. So you could get a huge chunk of points from your badges. And then you'll be adding up everything, including all of the objective cards that you ended up scoring throughout the seasons as well. And all of the scoring is actually all done right here. So you'll be able to get your total. Um, and yeah, I think that's pretty much it. There's some detailed spots of these that are pretty self-explanatory. Once you complete the section, you could unlock certain things. Broken Bridge unlocks river fishing, so you'd be able to go here and grab your card. And then when you go fishing, you can choose to fish here. And then you roll the 2 dice just as you normally would. All right. Um, yeah, I think that's pretty much it. You do have these 4 cards that you are set up with: the grotto fishing, lake fishing, geode, and river fishing. And you actually get the geodes from the mines. So yeah. Trying to see if there's anything else I should show you guys. Nope, I think we're good. Let me know if you have any questions. This is a pretty interesting game, lots to think about. Definitely, I think give it a few tries, um, and kind of figure out your groove. I think definitely what comes out in the tasks, and especially what you need to do in your cargo manifest, would determine your strategy. And it's interesting. Every game that I've played have felt different. So I would love to hear your thoughts on this one. All right. Well, thanks so much for watching. And if you're not already subscribed, please consider subscribing. A like or a comment is also always appreciated. And I'll see you next time. Bye.